Hello. Well, we're back. And as you probably remember from last time, we finished reading with Ma for the first time, telling her own story. And she was telling her own biography, a story about her life and the lessons that she's learned. And the main lesson is that Ma has said that all along she always wanted more. She was unhappy, and she never realized that the very best thing she could ever have was sitting right inside her house, and that was Minley. And she didn't appreciate it. And she described it like a gift that was sitting in her house, unwrapped. She just didn't realize. So everything she had to be thankful for. And as we know by now, in the book it says that the secret to happiness is thankfulness. And I can really understand that. When you appreciate what you have, it makes you happy. So let's see what's going to happen next. As Ma finished, she sat herself down at Ba's feet, and like a child, she placed her head in his lap. "Husband," she said, "I've said it was your fault that Minley ran away, and I was wrong. I am to blame. Minley knew I was discontent with our fortune. If I had not been, she would not have left. I'm sorry." Ba could not speak. The moon outside was so full it looked as if it would burst, and moistness dampened his eyes. He placed his hand tenderly on Ma's head. "Ah, good," the fish said. "If you make happy those who are near, those that are far will come." Ma raised her head in a jerk, but she looked over at the fish and then looked at Ba, her eyes wide. Did the fish say something? Chapter 45. The dragon waited. Mornings rose, nights fell, but he did not move from the bridge. Every night the stars filled the sky like snowflakes falling on black stone and then melted away as the sun mounted. When the sun rose, the red strings of the bridge melted into the sky, and the bridge seemed to disappear, only showing itself again at night. A stinging wind blew in a silver mist, and the cold rock was hard and unyielding. Still, the dragon waited. But on the third night, just as the moon began to slip down in the sky, Dragon saw a faint figure on the bridge. With a joyous roar, the dragon jumped up, and the figure became clearer and clearer. "Minley! You are back!" Dragon shouted. "Did you see him? Did you ask the old man of the moon my question?" Yes, yes, Minley laughed as she hugged the dragon. "I asked him and he answered. So now I know how you can fly." "How?" Dragon asked. Minley climbed onto Dragon's back. With both hands, she clenched the stone ball above his head. "Take a deep breath," she said to him, and with a jerk that took all her strength, she yanked the ball off his head. "Ouch!" Dragon yelped, but then he began to smile. "I feel so light," he said, "so light and peaceful." "The old man of the moon said you would not be able to fly until the ball was removed from your head," Minley told him. "He said it was weighing you down." "It was," Dragon laughed, and Minley clutched his neck with her spare arm as he rose into the air. The wind seemed to join their whoop of laughter and sweep them up into the sky as the dragon flew for the first time. The silver clouds embraced them and then parted as the dragon flew through, as if he were rippling the sky. The pale moon looked as if it were smiling at them with a soft glow. As they skimmed the stars, Minley closed her eyes with delight. As they returned to the ground, the dragon asked, "What about you? Did the old man tell you how to change your fortune?" Minley was silent. Dragon turned to look at her. "What happened?" he asked. "He did not tell you?" "I didn't ask," Minley said. "I was only allowed one question." "What?" The dragon said. "You need to know. You have come all this way. We will fly back and you can ask him. Before Minley could utter a protest, the red cord bridge seemed to shriek. And as they turned to look at it, the bamboo stakes began to rip the ground, leaving ugly slashes as the bridge was dragged away from the land. The bridge jerked violently, the bamboo supports clattering as it was pulled up into the darkness. The old man of the moon will not see me again, Minley said. He won't answer any question for another 99 years. But, the dragon sputtered, your fortune, your parents. It's all right, Minley told him. When it was time for me to choose, I suddenly saw I didn't have to ask it. You did not? The dragon said. No, Minley said, and suddenly memories rushed through her. She heard the Buffalo Boy's laughter as he refused her money, saw the king's generous smile as he willingly parted with his family's treasure, and remembered Daofu's last words to her. Why would we want to change our fortune? They had said. She had shaken her head in confusion then, but now, finally, Minley understood it all. Fortune was not a house full of gold and jade, but something much more. Something she already had and did not need to change. I didn't ask the question, Minley said again and smiled, because I don't need to know the answer. So if Minley is saying fortune is not a house full of gold and it's something that she already has, what do you think fortune is? Yep, I think it's love. Love of her family is what she has. All right, and we'll read a little more into chapter 46. The moon began to fade as the brightening sky revealed itself through it. The sun was awakening, and Minley wanted to return home as soon as possible. Dragon, having waited 3 days and nights, was well rested, so they decided to leave Never-Ending Mountain at once. As Dragon soared through the sky, any heaviness inside Minley left. He seemed to dance in the air, and his happiness made her feel as light as the clouds around her. The sun seemed to warm her heart, and joy bubbled inside of her. She knew she had asked the right question. Before they left, Minley and the dragon circled over the village of the moon rain. Daofu, Ama, Agong, and the villagers saw them and ran out of their stone hut, flapping their ruined sleeves in greeting. Don't stop, Ama shouted. Go home! Minley nodded and waved goodbye until the flowering trees looked like brushstrokes of golden paint on the mountain. Flying on the dragon made traveling much faster. It seemed as if in no time they were above the city of bright moonlight. From the sky, the inner city and the outer city grids looked like a giant labyrinth, and the two stone guardians looked as if they were dog trinkets molded from clay. Minley saw the roof of the Buffalo Boy's broken-down hut, but no glimpse of him. He's probably inside sleeping, Minley thought, wondering if the goddess of weaving had visited the previous night. But as they passed the bay of water by the city, Minley saw something strange, like an orange shadow streaking across the sky. Dragon saw it too and slowed down. As it got closer, there was no mistaking it. It was another dragon. The dragon was orange, the color of the inside of a ripe mango. When she saw Minley and Dragon, a silly smile spread across her face. Hello, Dragon said in an odd voice. Minley looked at him in surprise. But the orange dragon kept flying without saying a word. As she passed, she winked at them. Dragon balanced in mid-air as if stunned. He watched the orange dragon sweep down and away to the water below until she was a ginger speck in the distance. What do you think about that orange dragon? Who do you think that might have been? She's acting like she knows them. What do you think? Orange Think of any stories we know. I want you to keep thinking. I'm going to read a little more and then we'll talk about it. Are you okay? Minley asked Dragon as he continued to stare. You must be excited that you've finally seen another dragon. I am, Dragon said. Then he shook himself, as if trying to make himself get awake. But I will find her again later. I will bring you home first. Minley shrugged. Dragon was acting oddly. But there was something familiar about the orange dragon. Perhaps the way her scales reflected in the sun, like fish scales glistening in water, and those knowledgeable eyes nodding as if she knew her. Minley smiled. Do you suppose that that could be the goldfish that she released into the river? And remember the old legend that goldfish that swim all of the rivers in the world and suddenly go to the top of a waterfall, the Dragon's Gate, and they become a dragon? Aunt Jin? I think that's who that is. Hours passed, and the land below them blurred. Minley slept on and off. The smooth ride of the flying dragon made it easy for her to sleep. Minley was impressed by how far they had journeyed and how much faster they were able to travel by flying. The sun was only beginning to go down past the horizon when they saw the edge of the peach forest. The tops of the peach trees seemed to sway a welcome to them as they flew overhead. And as they continued to fly, Minley thought she saw the monkeys still attached by the fishnet around the pot of rice. And we're going to stop right there. And I think that tomorrow, looking at the book, we will finish it. Yay!